Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC. Big headlines today, Reds fans. Alexander Isak drops a bold 14-word statement after surprising Arne Slot on his Liverpool debut. Tom Werner opens up on FSG's transfer strategy and the Marc Guehi deal, plus a huge decision looms for Alexis Mac Allister as defensive changes are considered. And don't miss, the latest issue of Liverpool FC Fix is here with a Champions League special. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Alexander Isak releases 14-word statement after surprising Arne Slot on Liverpool debut. Alexander Isak made his long-awaited Liverpool debut in their 3-2 Champions League win over Atletico Madrid on Wednesday and took to social media to mark the occasion. Alexander Isak shared his gratitude to Liverpool fans after making his debut. The forward made a record-breaking 125-meter switch from Newcastle United on transfer deadline day after a protracted summer saga. The Sweden international had, effectively, downed tools at St. James Park in a bid to engineer a move, missing the Magpies' preseason tour of the Far East and training solo after his teammates returned to Tyneside. His wish was finally granted on deadline day, as Liverpool finally got the man they had been chasing all summer. The Reds are handling the striker with care after a disrupted preseason, with manager Arne Slot opting to leave Isac out of his squad for their recent trip to Burnley. The decision was made with one eye on the Reds' showdown with Atletico Madrid, with Slot also revealing he expected Isac to be fit enough to play at least 45 minutes against the La Liga side, as per the Liverpool Echo. As predicted, the 25-year-old striker was chosen to start against the Spanish Giants and put in an encouraging performance during his 58-minute debut. He was also given a rousing reception by the Anfield faithful when his name was announced before kickoff and when he was substituted just before the hour mark. Following the match, Isac took to Instagram to outline his joy at making his much-anticipated debut for Liverpool and to thank the club's supporters. He wrote, "Amazing night to make my debut. Thank you for the warm welcome, Reds. YNWA." It came after Slot had shared his surprise at Isak's levels of fitness during his debut, despite a largely disrupted summer. He said in a post-match press conference, "I was positively surprised by how fit he was during that 60 minutes. But that probably tells you that it might be a difference to sign a 20-year-old from a different league, or sign a 25 or 26-year-old that is used to playing in this league. Although he's only trained for 2 weeks, he has so many games under his belt that he is probably more able to be ready for 60. But I was positively surprised how fit he was. I wasn't surprised by his quality because that's what we all know. You don't have to be a manager to recognize how much quality he has. But it's always nice to see if a player starts the way he starts, like Hugo Ekitike, who started the same as he did. Yeah, a good start, only 60 minutes, and now we have to build him up from here. But I can tell you he is not going to play 90 again on Saturday." Liverpool chairman Tom Werner explains FSG transfer decision and addresses Marc Guehi. Liverpool chairman Tom Werner has addressed the club's mammoth transfer spend during the recent window. Liverpool chairman Tom Werner has explained why owners Fenway Sports Group sanctioned a record-breaking squad rebuild this summer as he lifted the lid on the pursuit of Alexander Isak. The Reds splashed out a British record $450 million this summer on new players, the centerpiece of which was the 125-meter arrival of Isac from Newcastle United on deadline day at the start of this month. Isac made his debut in the 3-2 Champions League home win over Atletico Madrid on Wednesday, where he was joined by 116 Mipapit, Florian Wirtz, and 29 Midioros Jeremy Frimpong with 79 Midioros. Hugo Ekitike and 40 Menabas Emilos Kirkez coming on as substitutes and 29 Nibadarsid, Georgi Mamardashvili and 26 Menir Giovanni Leone also on the bench. And while pointing out Liverpool recouped more than half of their outlay through sales, Werner admits previous experience meant the Reds were keen to overhaul their playing staff to give themselves a better chance of retaining the Premier League title this season. "The fact of the matter is it's going to be very difficult," he said. "As much as all the pundits are saying we are going to win the league this year, you can see from our first 4 matches how competitive the league is. We have been resilient. We have been fortunate. The one thing I have learned, and we are relatively humble and modest about this, is we were very enthusiastic about changing the squad because it's very difficult to repeat. There was a great intention to bring in new players, obviously to get better. As much as it has been talked about how much our spend was this year, we have been able to spend to the degree that we did so because we also sold a lot of players. One of the most encouraging things about that is we haven't clicked yet, and I don't expect us to click right now. I do think part of what we have learned is that you can't just bring the same squad back. You need to bring in a new energy and new ideas. Liverpool's spending could have increased further only for a 35 million deal for England international centre-back Marc Guehi to fall through at the last minute, with Crystal Palace having been unable to recruit a suitable successor in time. And reflecting on the pursuits of Isac and Guehi, Werner added to the It's Called Soccer podcast, "In the Newcastle situation, obviously their club needed to find a replacement. We thought we had a terrific financial offer for them, but he did have a contract that lasted for 3 more years. I guess our feeling was we had signed Ekitike to be a striker and felt if it works, then that would be great. And if it doesn't work, there'd be another option somewhere down the road." I didn't know any more than the news media. I thought we were going to get the defender from Crystal Palace. But I understood it. They started the season well, and their chairman said, "We can't afford to lose him. It takes so much to win, and it's not due to the talents of any one player." I think Isac will be terrific, but he's not the only striker in the world. And when asked on whether Guehi could move to Liverpool in January, Werner declined to answer the question and joked to host Rebecca Lowe, "I'm sorry, Rebecca, you went cloudy on me there." Arne Slot faces major Alexis Mac Allister decision as Liverpool consider defensive change. Liverpool are next up against Everton in the Premier League, with Arne Slot facing some selection posers. Liverpool traveled another roller coaster on Wednesday evening as they secured a dramatic 3-2 Champions League victory at home to Atletico Madrid. Andy Robertson and Mohamed Salah scored early on, only for Marcos Llorente to net a brace before skipper Virgil van Dijk snatched an injury time winner for the Reds. Arne Slot's side will now face another major test of their Premier League title defense when they entertain Everton on Saturday afternoon in the first Merseyside derby of the season. And here we look ahead to the changes Slot could make when his team are next in action. Robertson advantage, a third game inside less than 7 days, suggests Slot will rotate his squad for the visit of their neighbors. Liverpool made 3 changes against Atletico, and it would be no surprise if at least as many are made again. The fullback positions will be the most intriguing call, with Andy Robertson having this week edged ahead of Milos Kerkez in the left-back pecking order. At right-back, though, the situation is not so obvious. Jeremy Frimpong started against Atletico, but Connor Bradley has had successive, lengthy spells as substitute and is vying strongly for a place in the X. Dominic Szoboszlai and Joe Gomez have both featured in the position already this season, but are unlikely alternatives with Frimpong and Bradley now fit. Gomez instead remains an option at center-back, although Ibrahima Konate and captain Virgil van Dijk have locked down their partnership in recent weeks. Teenage summer signing Giovanni Leone will most likely have to wait until Tuesday's League Cup visit of Southampton for his Liverpool debut. In goal, Alisson Becker remains the man in possession, with Georgi Mamardashvili next in line ahead of Freddie Woodman, Szoboszlai. Slot has conceded Alexis Mac Allister isn't quite fit enough yet to be starting 3 games in a week, but having been below par from the bench in midweek, there's no guarantee the Argentine will be restored to the lineup. Szoboszlai's excellent form this season has made him one of the first names on the team sheet, and he would be favorite to continue. In the double pivot alongside Ryan Gravenberch, Wataru Endo and Curtis Jones, who resumed training this week after a fortnight out injured, are also under consideration. Both Jones and Szoboszlai are also options for the number 10 role, although Florian Wirtz's impressive showing against Atletico indicates he may take some shifting. Hugo Ekitike is an alternative should the position be a more withdrawn striking role. Teenager Trey Nyoni is still to make his Premier League debut, and was involved for the U19s in the UEFA Youth League game against Atletico rather than the Champions League with the first team. Isac to stay? In attack, Slot's big call is whether Alexander Isak retains his place as a central striker, having featured for 58 minutes on Wednesday. Ekitike, who started the previous 5 games, Would-be favorite to replace the Sweden international Ekitike could also challenge Cody Gakpo for his role on the left with Rio Ngumoha, who has come off the bench in 3 of Liverpool's last 4 games. Another option. Mohamed Salah will be expected to continue on the right, with Frimpong having deputized on occasion during pre-season. Federico Chiesa is back in contention, having been ineligible for the Atletico victory. Alexander Isak told what he must do to shake off a $169 million Liverpool price tag. Liverpool bought Alexander Isak from Newcastle United on transfer deadline day, with the deal breaking the British record. Going through at $169 million, $125 million, Stan Collymore, who joined Liverpool in 1995 for a then British transfer record of $8.5 million, $11.5 million, has offered his take on how Alexander Isak can make people forget about the big fee that his move commanded this summer. Isac made his debut for Liverpool in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid, putting in a promising performance against Diego Simeone's side. He could make another appearance this weekend in the Merseyside derby and will be keen to make an impression as quickly as possible in order to justify the price tag. I think that the difference between breaking the transfer record 30 years ago and now is that it's hard to adjust for inflation and work out how similar the deals were, Collymore said. Kieran Maguire worked out that an inflation-adjusted figure for all the transfers has Alan Shearer at $250 million, $338 million to Newcastle, and my move to Liverpool was maybe $293 million. So my transfer fee was really a massive outlier back then in a way that Isak's isn't. At the time, I was breaking the $7.0 million, $9.5 million record for Andy Cole to Manchester United from the season before, and maybe Roy Keane before that from Nottingham Forest to Manchester United. So, while there are incremental jumps these days, back then the increases were more like leaps, the equivalent of going from 150 meters to 300 meters C, 200 million to 400 million within the course of a season or two. Now, though, I don't think the size of the transfer fee matters. Players are asked less often about their fees in press conferences and at games. Managers don't get asked much about it either. The focus is more on whether the player is settling in. That is because we're used to such astronomical riches in the Premier League. Those high fees are omnipresent. Look at the top 20 in the Premier League, they've all spent big. Birmingham dropped $10 million, $13 million on Jay Stansfield when they were in the 3rd tier. Big fees are just par for the course in England. Look at the top-flight German, Italian, and Spanish clubs who are struggling to match the spending of lower league English sides. Isac linked well with Florian Wirtz against Atletico Madrid and pressed diligently throughout his 58 minutes on the field. And Collymore says there is no doubt that he will be a success. All Isac really needs to do is to get fit. Collymore, speaking to 10Bet Casino, continued. That's the primary thing. And he needs to hit the ground running, because if he hits the ground running, Liverpool fans will forget about all the shenanigans with Newcastle. Second issue of new monthly Liverpool FC Fix is a Champions League special, and it's out now. The September 2025 issue of Blood Red, focusing on Liverpool's attempt to win European Cup number 7, is out now this month. Our focus is on Europe as Liverpool's Champions League campaign kicks off. The Reds will be looking to bring home European Cup number 7 this season. As well as a pull-out fixtures guide to the group phase, we profile every other club in the competition. There's also an interview with voice of Anfield George Sefton, who looks back at his time at the club, while we review the big tactical talking points of the season's opening games, and we also preview the next month of action as the champions, boosted by the 125-meter British transfer record arrival of cover star Alexander Isak, combine their bid to defend their Premier League crown with the start of their mission for Champions League glory. Our writers cover Arne Slot's side all season long, home, away, and abroad, 7 days a week, and this special second edition of Blood Red is full of their in-depth features, analysis, and comment.